I guess there's the use change that's coming along that people sort of don't consider because everything is electronic. But it's nice having things that aren't as well.
Featherston resident and classical historian Robyn Ramsden discovered a passion for traditional bookbinding through her love of medieval reenactments.
After about 10 or 15 years, I had all the kit that I needed, I had everything, and then I was sitting at an event going, what's next? I kind of made everything, and then I saw someone with a book, like a modern book, covered in a cloth, trying to read it discreetly so that you couldn't see that it was a modern book. And I was like, that's it, we'll make books, I'll make books. So that started many years of research and reading and practicing and failing and redoing, making medieval books.
Key to Robyn's learning was access to her university library, where she could investigate damaged, aged texts and learn how they were made internally. She's been sharing her skills with bookbinding enthusiasts at Booktown since it started in 2015, and binds her own books using a press she keeps in a kitchen cupboard at her home.
So I first started out just teaching a really quick book, something that was going to take a few hours to make and then be done and people would go on and look at the rest of the festival. So I actually used my friends' notes for the Nag Hammadi books and changed them around for a person to learn quickly and do quickly. And so I've been doing that ever since.
Nag Hammadi is the name of a town in northern Egypt, where the ancient style of bookbinding originates from back in the 4th century. The story begins with 12 books packed in a vase and hidden.
Kind of like pasted into a wall in a cave, and so they're deliberately hidden at some point. And so this farmer found them and didn't know what he had, but had unpacked them from the vase, which is a bit of an archaeological no-no, but he had made an effort to go and contact the local authorities to go and have a look at them, but whilst he was doing that, his mother burnt one for fuel to cook food. So there was 11, and they went through all sorts of steps and missteps archaeologically wise, because some were pulled apart and some were cut open, and so a lot of the way they were made has been lost, and people aren't certain. There's a lot of uncertainty about exactly how they were constructed because of the damage that was done by other people.
Inside the books were Christian biblical writings known as Gnostic texts, secret gospels, poems and myths attributed to Jesus' sayings and beliefs, largely different from the New Testament.
But they're not the books in the Bible, so there's controversy over the content. But one of them was Plato's Republic, or a part of Plato's Republic, which is, as a classical historian, I found very intriguing. I teach them because they're a one quire book, like a one set of pages, and you don't have to get fancy. You can get fancy, but you can make them really quickly. And those books, I think they're all back together now, but they were separated out. And so they were found in about 1945 or something. So, of course, when the war arrived in Egypt, things got transported around the world as they did then and got taken out and taken away and dispersed. And yeah, but I think they've got nearly them all back together now.
Today, the Nag Hammadi scriptures are housed in the Coptic Museum in Cairo, Egypt. Robyn's Booktown workshop condenses the binding process down to just 2 hours, and most of that time is waiting for glue to dry. She uses a milliner's needle, scissors, glue, and push pins to construct her books from thick card, paper, greaseproof paper, leather, linen thread, and a 3B1 notebook, all tied together in a kangaroo sheath band. The increase in digital readership has led to the demise of professional book binderies across the globe, but Robyn knows a way to use the craft in a quirky modern context.
I turned up to a medieval event with my iPad in what looked like a book, and you were able to buy these, they were all called books. You could buy them and you could put your device in them, and they were open. They looked just like a leather book, and they were really discreet. It was really good, and I took it to an event and I had to read something, and circumstances meant that I read it straight from my iPad. And everyone was like, it was a scandal because it was the first time anyone had ever done that at a medieval event. But now everyone does it. Now all the heralds, all their gear, everything they have to read and is all on iPad in books that are hidden by essentially modern-made medieval books.
The idea came from a friend of hers who continues to make mock medieval gear for modern devices.
And she's made girdle books for people's iPhones and their phones, and they have them on their belts, and they look just like a book, just like a girdle book, but in it is their phone, which is super clever. And so for medieval reenactors, we're now able to keep our devices on us, but in a discreet way.
The Nag Hammadi style books Robyn makes at her Booktown workshop are simplified down, so they're quick and easy to put together and pull apart.
A cheat, so a 3B1 notebook is the innards. When you've finished filling up your notebook with however you use notebooks, you can just pop the stitches and stitch a new one in and off you go. A couple of people I know have actually brought an index book, because you can buy a notebook there's an index book and put an index book in, and now that's your address book. And because it's leather, it lasts for ages, and if you want to update your notebook, you just take it out and put a new one in and you can keep going.
Ellie Franco, Local Focus.